Welcome to the Victory Speaks Inspired Conversation series, where iron sharpens iron. That's you and me sharpening each other. I am your host, Nicole Waldron, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. And I'm on a mission to create inspiring life conversations with everyday experts, unsung heroes and thought leaders that will empower us to live a victorious lifestyle. As you join me on this journey through these inspired conversations, I hope you will be inspired to have intentional conversations that will lift you up and enhance your life. No matter the type of conversations we have, good, bad, funny, you name it, it can all be inspiring. Tonight, I invite you to get comfy, get a nice drink or a snack, grab a notepad, as you just never know when a wisdom key can be dropped. Please share this with your friends and get ready to engage with us. Welcome. It is Monday. Can you believe it's the last Monday in May? Holy Moses, Batman. I don't know if there's a Batman out there, but holy Moses. I am just blown away. The year is going by pretty quickly. And so tonight, I know it's a new time, 9 o'clock. We're just doing this special. Guess what? I got this special now. It's no accident when you see Walrond and Waldron. It's kind of the same name, but it's not the same, but yet it is. You'll find out as we start the conversation. So tonight, we have curated an inspired conversation just for you. Because over the next little while, I want to have some guests. And I know this guest is going to come back more than once because he's just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. You know that's my thing, right? When they're really good. And because we're going to build on financial security and personal growth. We want to see you thrive. You know, as we have navigated these times with the ups and downs of the world, it's time to refocus, recalibrate. How do we ensure that we are set to live a victorious, sustainable life for ourselves and our loved ones? So my victory guest tonight is Noel Walrond. He's a speaker, trainer, entrepreneur, author, and philanthropist. I'm just going to give you a little snippet of who he is because there is so much to him. He is the president of My Dream Works, a company committed to helping people align their passions with their lifestyles. Right up my alley, wouldn't you say? He was the president and CEO of RAM Inc., which is recognized among masters, a marketing and promotions company contracted through Sidecore, which specialized in customer acquisitions with local, national, and international charities like World Vision, Amnesty International, and the Hospital for Sick Kids. Now, he has taught people as young as 19 years of age to become, hear this, six-figure income earners. Noel has helped people break through mental barriers that have been holding them back from living a fulfilling life. His programs help people to build self-confidence, create clarity, and create explosive results in record times. We're not going to kill anybody. We're just going to make sure that your life explodes into newness. And he helps them to beat procrastination. Noel contends that in general, most people know what to do to get the results they want. But the problem is that most tend not to follow through. And he calls this knowing, doing gap. Now we got to talk about this knowing, doing gap thing, Noel. It's so deep. And he focuses on helping his students close this gap and their results move from good to outstanding. He's also the author. Now, you got to get his book, There Is No Tomorrow, The Ultimate Guide to Beating Procrastination. Now, our aim tonight, one of our aims, is to make financial literacy and personal growth simple and achievable, for myself included. So let's move in the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because you are, and give a warm Victory Speaks welcome to the one and only Noel Walrond. And so glad to have you here, Noel. How are you doing tonight?
I'm powerful. I'm awesome. Greetings, everybody from the Dominican Republic. It's a real pleasure to be here.
You're bragging already. Look at you in the warm. But let me tell you, here in Toronto, it is warm here tonight. I literally have on the fan. I would have had on the AC, but it would have been. So now, before we get into the nitty gritty, let people get to know a little bit about you. Now, people, yes, we're kind of the pumpkin vine cousins. The Walrond name, one day we will sit down and explain to you why he is Walrond and I am Waldron. But we family, okay? Good family. So what was growing up like for you?
Well, I guess, one would think that I was actually in the military with the amount of moving that my mother and I did, but I moved around quite a bit. So my very early stages are kind of a blur. Like I think I was born in Ottawa, then we moved to Kingston, then I went to live with my grandmother in Trinidad. My mom was finishing up her degree, and then to Vancouver, then finally to Toronto. And so I was Brampton more specifically. So I was there. I would say for most of my life, but then I've also lived in Mississauga, and then as I got older, I spent a little bit of time in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Houston, Texas. And I bounced around a little bit, but coming up, I think that I was raised largely on sports and entrepreneurialism, and my mom is a sports fanatic. Believe it or not, like she'll be at church, and sometimes she'll be having, like, when they're in the Olympics, she's checking on her phone to see the medal count. You know what I mean? It's like she's a sports fanatic. So coming up. I played ice hockey and soccer. Those were my two sports that I played, and I actually wanted to play pro, but it was because I started doing well. But it was very expensive and hard. It was hard for a single mother to manage that with the traveling and the costs. Hockey was not a cheap sport. But coming up through school, I found myself more involved with the social activities. When I say that, I mean student council, drama club, and those type of things. I was more interested in those things than the academics. And my mom was really trying to get me to push towards the academics. And I came from a very strict household. My mom, loving, but drove me nuts. It was like, you want to go hang out with your friends. When I could hang out on the street, they could go to the park. When I could go to the park, they can go to the mall. When I go to the mall, they can go downtown. You know what I mean? It was like that kind of a thing. Right. And so how my entrepreneurial spirit sort of got kindled, it was out of a frustration situation. There was a school dance that we had, and in the school dances, remember back then, the dances started about 4:00, go till about 8. My mom was there to pick me up at 6:30. No, real talk. And then, but let me tell you, this is what actually brought me into the world of promoting. There was a girl in the school that I was infatuated with, and I finally built up the courage to ask this girl to dance. Finally got the courage to do it, and then. Back then the slow songs, this jam, they didn't mix back then. It was one song, then the next song, then the next song, and they would play the whole. So they played the whole thing, and so a slow jam set could last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, in that range, right? Which was great if you matched up with the right person. So she says yes to me. I'm having a Leo DiCaprio moment. I'm king of the world. You know what I mean? I'm excited. And so we're dancing. Next thing, time is obviously escaping me, you know what I mean? But because it started a few minutes before 6:30, which is the time my mom was coming to pick me up, I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I'm like, I thought it was one of my boys, and I'm like, yeah, just cool. And I'll hear, just cool who? Turned around, my mom was there with rollers.
Oy, baby. Oy, baby.
I am not kidding. Like this rope, all you see is like you went black. You run. So I ran out of the cafeteria, humiliated, and I said, "Mom, why would you do that? Why would you do that?" You know what I mean? And I said, so I got just fed up, and I said, "Look, you're not gonna let me go hang out with my friends and go party with them. Can I have them come over to the house? Can we party? Can we do something at the house?" And she says, "Okay, fine." So I invited 10 people, 30 showed up, and my mom was like, "Okay, we need to move this to another location." So Sisterhood Cultural Club, which was a Caribbean-run cultural club in Brampton. My mom knew the organizers, and so she arranged for me to keep a dance there. So I was expecting about 30 to 40 people. 200 people showed up.
Whoa.
And that's where things started for me. That's why it was my first time making money. Like I remember I think that first night I made like almost $1,500 or whatever.
That was big back then. Big.
Yeah, that was big money. I thought I was flossing. I was doing my Diddy and all of that. Although that was before Bad Boy and Diddy and all of that, right? So yeah. And they got to the point where I started throwing bigger parties. I think at the height of it, we used to get about 2,000 people coming out to these things. Yeah, Carlos Banquet Hall. Yeah, student council presidents used to call me asking me when the next party is going to be, because if they have their school dance the same night, it's going to flop. So so that was where I started. That was my first business. It was born out of being shamed.
So from early, you have learned how to turn pain, discomfort, challenges into purposeful opportunities.
You said it so nicely, but that wasn't how it felt back then. But yes, that was like you had like a Yadla moment there. I felt that.
Listen, I am feeling like we need to bring mom on, and we just need to have her just talk to the moms who are afraid to discipline their children, and go like, okay, this is what you do, and you will bring something out of them, because it takes a lot of, especially now, to do that to a young person. Man, I wonder what they would do if we did that to them right now. That's just amazing to me.
Yeah, but here's the thing. No, here's the thing I told my mom, because when we were in the car, because she said, no, the people said just go on inside. I said, Mom, I said, if you were a teenager once, I said, if you were at a dance with your friends, would you want your mom coming in there with her rollers to come and get you in the party? Like, I mean, no, but really, like, I mean, that's just basic. Like this, you don't do that. Like this, it's like if they had called me and I didn't come, and you got vexed and you said, okay, you're not listening, I'm gonna have to come and make a statement. That's different. You know what I mean? Because if I heard my voice, I'd have been like, oh my God, I gotta go. And I guess, you know what I mean? And left. But it was like, it's here's one of the things. And one of the things that I've learned, and even in my coaching career, people don't reject change that they choose. Like this people, but you have to make something make sense to somebody, like so that they make the decision, or at least feel like they made the decision to make that move. But when a person forced against their will is of the same opinion still, and so if you try to push too hard, you can end up with a far worse situation. So sometimes there's got to be a delicate balance between those two. Because one of the things I think to me that's most important, because my mom didn't know a lot about what I did because of how strict she was. You know what I mean? Like this. And now we had a different type, like she was very loving, obviously she was doing it out of love. You know what I mean? I guess, but it's something where, like I'm fortunate that God kind of intervened a couple of times when I started going off the deep end, making some dumb choices, like this. And, but it's something where, I just think that even in coaching and training people, I can't coach you if you won't submit. Because at the end of the day, you have to accept the coaching. And so when it comes to people sort of dictating to you to do something, and internally you really don't want to do it, one, you're not going to do it to the best of your ability. Yes, because your heart's not in it. You know what I mean? And number two, sometimes the resentment will grow to the point where there's a relationship breakdown. And I left home twice, as a teenager. You know what I mean? So twice, But I remember when I came to university that year, it was like, either I'm going to university or I'm moving out, but I can't, I love you, Mom, but I can't do this, so.
You get past the resentment piece, because that is huge, because whether you're a coach, whether you're a parent, whatever it is, there's always something that you're talking to people about. How did you take that, what could have been really a bad resentment kind of offshoot, and turn it into something positive?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, as angry as I was back then, you know what I mean, as a teenager, you know what I mean, and our parents don't know anything. They don't understand, right. And all that stuff, right? Parents just don't understand. Will Smith said it right. But I think that because of the way I was raised, one of the things that I was always petrified of was coming home in a police car. You know what I mean? Because I just didn't want to embarrass my mother. As much as I was angry about situations, I wouldn't want to embarrass her. You know what I mean? Like this. And I had respect, but I just didn't like the situation. you know. And so for myself, I just find there's always a way, man, and I'm creative, so it's something where I'm like, okay, I can't do this, and I'm going to figure out another way to do it. I didn't know the party promoting was gonna. I just want to be with my friends and not have to be rushing to leave. You know what I mean? And it was like but but after I started promoting, and so I said, and of course you're not getting home until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because people leave. You got to clean up. You're not getting home till 2 o'clock. I said, so it's okay for me to do it when I'm working, but it's not okay for me to do it when I'm hanging out with my friends. Really? You know what I mean? Like this, you know. And that's when Mom said, okay, fine. You know. So it was like, so I still fought for what I wanted. Freedom, you know.
And it, it really has shaped you because, just listening to the story of you and your mom growing up, it shaped you into the man that you are because you're such a resilient human being. And how do you say that propels you into your purpose and what you're doing right now? How growing up and, being the man that is changing people's lives, getting into sales, getting into speaking, becoming an author, how did that shape you?
Well, my mom is the one who got me into business in terms of like, I mean, she was involved. My mom was very enterprising. She was into network marketing, everything from we care cosmetics to discovery toys, and I was a demo kid. But from really, I'm still waiting for my commission checks. Still waiting for those.
Food, bed.
Is that it? Like that wasn't the agreement. That wasn't the contract.
Yeah.
So it's like, hello. You know what I mean? I did my homework. Right.
Right.
So yeah, she would take me to networking functions, and she would put me on one side of the room, and she'd be on the other side of the room. She says, "Okay, you talk to as many people as you can and get cards, and I will, and then we'll come back to me in the middle. We'll talk about what you got for today." So I think when I started going to networking events, I must have been 9 or 10. You know what I mean, with her. You know what I mean. So she brought me, to meetings, and so I think that was probably the beginning of being able to talk to people who were older. And I was also a camp counselor. She put me in leadership training programs, and so I was with the Brampton Parks and Recreation. I had to do the altar program twice because I was too young to be a leader because I was too close to the age of the people I'm supposed to be minded, and but I became a camp counselor, and I'd say that kind of was a breakout moment for me because I was petrified of talking on stages, and it was when one day when I went on the stage, and this is something that I actually teach my students. Anybody out there who's nervous about talking on stage, and because I went up the first time and I completely froze, and so when I'm on the stage, I went totally blank, and I was like, oh my God. And then I left the stage, and I guess, and then I was feeling like, oh my God, I feel sick to my stomach. I'm nauseous, and then one of my managers, the head leaders said, Noel, he said, Noel, it's not about you. He said, there is somebody in that audience who needs to hear something that you have to say. So just go up. And also, they don't know what you intended to say, so it's impossible to screw it up. Okay. So as far as they're concerned, anything you say is what you meant to say. Right. So you can't mess it up. And that's something that was freeing to me. And so when I got up there, I remember that I wasn't talking to everybody in that room. I was speaking to the person who needed to hear it. You know what I mean? Like this, you know what I mean? And number two, it was impossible to screw up because they didn't know what I was there to say in the first place. So when that has been transferred over into the world of sales and training and development, that's one of the things that I've helped a lot of people just break through the fear of it, is because, and sometimes I also ask them, I said, tell me something. Would you be, if somebody was afraid to talk to you, like what would you be your first thought? Somebody says, hey, this person wants to talk to you, but they're afraid to talk to you. What would you be thinking inside your head? You'd be like, afraid of what? You know what I mean? Right? Like this is likely what your response. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's how that other person thinks, because they're thinking like, why would you be afraid to talk to me? I'm not, I don't mean you any harm. You're good. What you got? So that slight shift in thought changes things, and so yes. So that's kind of where, I would say some of the foundation that came in. So between network marketing, party promoting, and because I've got two different types of business skills. One is marketing and advertising and promoting in one way, and the other one is, hand to hand, get out there, reach and talk to people, how to engage people, how to, and then of course there's the follow up and follow through and all of that, which I learned more when I was doing door to door sales, which was the thing before launching my coaching business. I was in the direct sales business.
Listen,
so,
is there anything you haven't done? Like, I'm listening to you, Noel, and and I mean, folks, if you didn't get out your notepad, get out your notepad, because this is going to be a masterclass. It already is a masterclass, and as you share your story, Noel, you're dropping these really significant nuggets, like getting through the fear and shifting your perspective. And it was just something so simple to shift your perspective from a place of fear into, that kind of a walking in faith, and just going and recognizing that somebody needs to hear your voice, and it's okay. And now, to those who are raising young people, I think it's key to hear that leadership, putting your children and your young people in some sort of a leadership thing, is also very good for them, because I mean, like, the fact that your mom would put you in any type of go into the room and start networking, like, maybe we could even start doing that with families and stuff. That is powerful. I would never think to do that with a 10-year-old, to put them in a room and start networking. And so, you're doing your coaching, you're doing your sales, you're making impact. And I remember you used to have you always do these group sessions. But why is it so important for you, Noel, to see individuals live to their potential and achieve even financial breakthrough? Because you've always been about making sure that people become the best that they are, but not just talk, but being sustainable financially.
Well, we came up the hard way, man. Like, we've had to. It's been a very bumpy, windy road, and the when I had, when I met the mother of my daughter, and fortunately we're still, cool and good friends to this day. She since moved on and is married, remarried. But when I remember when I was married, and financially I was working with my dad's company, and Roraima Gold Corp. My dad, built Guyana's first homegrown mining and exploration company. And so I was working with him, and we had this big plan, that this mining company was going to blow up because of all of the gold he was sitting on it. But then the gold markets got hit because of the Bre-X scandal. It was a fool's gold deposit, which rocked the gold world. And there was the European countries who wanted to become a part of the euro. They had to get rid of their debts. And so a lot of them unloaded their reserves. Long story short, there was a gold depression. And like, what my dad was sitting on back then, today we would have been worth probably about $4 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, like this, it's real talk.
Wow.
Like this, anyhow. We didn't, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I was in a situation where I had, because I was married, had a job, had a newborn at home, but now no job, and having to try now, what the heck do I do now? And so I went through the struggles of having odd jobs and trying this. Somebody tells you they're going to pay you, they don't pay you. Like this, you made promises based on what they said that they're going to do. Like this, it starts impacting your credit. And then when you also don't have good money management skills, it's a major problem, because if you're not because a lot of people who don't have money, and they also don't manage the little that they get, and if you don't manage the little, you won't manage the much. Which is why a lot of people who, after they make their first million, go bankrupt. You know what I mean? Because they haven't learned the disciplines of money management, and or investing. And so I had at one point, I had gotten into the world of door-to-door sales. I got good at it. Got a chance to build sales teams. Built out offices. It was my first time making what I would call real money, like six figures. You know what I mean, and mid six figures. You know, and then a big challenge came because I was spending money like nothing, like because you're thinking it's always going to be there, it's always going to be there. I went on a trip to Cancun, took 5 people with me, paid the whole thing, and said I'll make it back next week, whatever.
Right.
Like that type of mentality. And I was thinking about it. I said if I had actually invested properly from then, I would have been retired at age 30. You know what I mean? Like this, and I mean living a very nice lifestyle, retired, I guess. But this is what happens when you don't know, and ignorance is not bliss, it's expensive. So, well, it's time, it costs you time, and time is life. So time is not money, time is life. So when I hit rock bottom because I blew this money. We ended up with a problem with a client, didn't pay. We owed our people. We had to pay our people. Watch your bank account go from here to down here. Collection agencies chasing you relentlessly. I ended up getting phobias of answering the phone. I guess because every time you see an unknown number or whatever, you're always wondering. And then of course, Brampton Hydro would be kind enough to give you those big orange notices on your door, so everybody you didn't freaking pay your bill. You know what I mean, like this. And yeah, so and we lived in subsidized housing, at that time. So it's something where one day I sat with I was desperate for help, and I reached out to this old Italian guy, Dennis G. I wanted to talk to somebody who didn't have anything to gain from giving me advice. And at that point, my marriage had also fallen apart and all that stuff. And, when it rains, it pours, right? So, so I sat down with Dennis, and one of the things he said to me, he says, Noel, what are you doing? He says, because I told him the whole situation, and he started laughing, like a belly laugh. And he's a big dude, like with a big belly, and he's ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, dude, jump in while the water is warm. I came to you for help, but this is what you're gonna do, guy. Come on, man. You know what I mean? And then, and he says to me, he says, Noel, I've heard you blame everybody for your situation except yourself.
Wow.
He said, if you want to own your wins, you got to own your losses too. So he said, yes, somebody screwed you over on the money, but if you had been banking money and had money in a separate place, you wouldn't be in the situation. Had you done proper due diligence on the company, you would have known what their situation was and what they were about, but you didn't. You failed to do proper due diligence. That's on you. He said you failed, and he kept coming at me with each of these things that I failed to do and managed this poorly managed situation. And I was like, okay. Like this bitter tasting medicine at the time, trust me. And then so he says, okay, Noel, here's what I want you to do. He says, first of all, you're burning through you're burning through the little money that you got. You need to go back home. I'm like, what? I'm like, Dennis, I don't think you understand.
Humbling moment right there. Humbling moment right
Holy caca. Yes. So that's my Italiano, right? So he says, go back home. I'm like, what? Like, and I said, no, bro. And here's what he said to me. I'll say exactly what he said. He said, see, Noel, this is what's wrong with your people. You'd rather go give the money to a stranger than give it to your own family.
Hey.
Like this. Yes. And that one hurt. Like this, and and so because he was a very blunt guy, very direct. So, and I was like, and then I said to him, oh, yeah, listen, how am I supposed to attract another person into my life and driving? Because he told me to get rid of the car. In fact, the car, he said, go get some car, two tones like blue and rust. He says, go get some beater that I don't have to worry about monthly payments on. I said, how am I going to attract a nice quality girl driving some beater? He says, if she wants to drive in your beater, you don't want her in your Beamer either.
Wow.
Like this. And so then, yeah, he said, and I mean, that really wasn't what it. I was just embarrassed. You know what I mean? You don't want people seeing you go backward. It's
But of course,
embarrassing.
but
I guess, but his advice was sound. Then he said to me, you need to learn. He said you need to learn to, first of all, manage your money and bank 30%. He said live on 30% of what you make and bank 70% for the purpose of investing. Live
wow.
on 30% and bank 70%. He says you don't get to go out to restaurants and order food outside. That's a luxury. You cook because you haven't qualified to make that to go to those places. He says you cook your foods. You put a cooler in the trunk in your trunk, and you do what you need to do. But he says you stop the bleeding. Stop spending money the way you're spending it. He says what's going to happen? And I said, how the hell do you live on 30%, Dennis? He said to me, Noel, have you ever noticed that no matter how broke you've ever been, that you're still here? Like you managed to have food, water, shelter. You know what I mean? Like this, clothes. You know what I mean? You didn't come here naked. So like this, and it's like, and then he starts talking to me about investing. And I'm like, well, I know nothing about like I'm not great with numbers, Dennis. And he said, what's 5 times 5? I said 25. He said, what's 100 divided by 10? 10. And I said, but that's simple. And he says, yeah, he said it wasn't simple when you first learned it. You didn't come out the womb learning it. It was through repetition. It takes time. He says, but the same way that you can learn the lyrics to your favorite songs, you can learn how to invest in real estate. You can learn how to invest in stocks. You can learn. He said, you only have one set of time. What are you going to invest it in? Are you going to spend it or are you going to invest it? You know what I mean? Like this. And so, and when you spend it, it's gone. You invest it, you get a return. So invest in this. The 6 inches between your ears. He says, I will give you some things to start out with. And then, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki was the first book I read in financial literacy. But the long and short of it is since then, so when he was, I started going to the Robert Kiyosaki stuff, and then I started going to seminars. I started meeting with other people. Then how I ended up with the real estate and how I first started with it was a friend of mine, Sherrard. I decided to go and launch my coaching and speaking business at one point. Let me tell you the story of how I got out of the poverty. Then I'll go to we'll just to keep it kind of in order so people it's clear for people. So I listened to what Dennis said. I found the opportunity with the direct sales company that went door to door, and I started to so I said, and I started coaching people because I knew how to help people increase their incomes because I had been in the direct sales business. So, so in the direct sales business, I made inside of 24 months, I was able to leave my mom's basement and move into a 3,000 square foot house.
Wow.
With 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, rented out 2 of the bedrooms upstairs and the basement. So I was basically living for free until I got to the point where I got tired of seeing other dudes in the house when I got home. And so like this, and so I 86 them and just kept my tenant who stayed there until I sold my house when I recently left Toronto.
Wow.
But I took equity from the house and I bought other properties and invested and because of that experience and through my friend Sherrard who hooked me up on that, and he was into flipping, buying and flipping. So when I got into actual coaching, when my students were making more money, I would connect them with him, and then we had a deal on commissions, on the referral, and those people were making great money. They were happy, and I made some money, and that gave me the flexibility of time freedom to be able to really dial into my craft, because the biggest problem is time, right? And when I was running the direct sales company, I was doing 18-hour days. You know what I mean? So I needed to be able to pull back and do something to do the other thing, and what I will say to this on the going into coaching and speaking for many of you who may be nervous about transitioning into something else. When I was running my direct sales company, because in my experience with Amway, as in the Amway business, and Dexter Yeager would say, if you build the person, you build the business, right? Like this. And so personal growth is extremely important because the diameter of your thinking dictates the circumference of your activity. You can't function outside of that, which you know. And so so awareness is key, as my late mentor Bob Proctor used to say, right? And so when I was at I would start out trying to do some coaching stuff in terms of running it as a business, and then I would stop, and I would start, and then I would stop. And the start stop syndrome when things don't quite go your way.
Yeah.
To get to start, to get to stop, right? If you're doing that, and then one day I was at the Introduction Leader Program put on by Landmark Education in New York City, and they asked 3 questions that changed everything for me. They asked, they asked, what is your stand for humanity? What is the game you're here to play on this planet? And how big a game are you here to play? So they gave us lunch to think about it. And when I got back from lunch, when I was at lunch, I thought about friends of mine like Russell Peters, because we grew up together. And for those who don't know him, he's an East Indian comic from Canada. And I remember when he started out in comedy because there was no money in it. He just went after what was in his heart because his parents, like most like I shouldn't say most, like a lot of East Indian parents want be a doctor, lawyer, something like that, like a real job, right? But he followed what was in his heart, and well, the rest is history today, right? And then my boy Little X, or Director X now.
Director X now. Come on.
I gave him his first flyer job back in high school. You know what I mean?
What?
Yeah, because I used to promote parties, and he was into graphic art, so he'd Goldmine Productions. He used to he created my flyers for me for my parties, and so go way back. I remember when he said he was going to go to Hype Williams Studios in New York, right? And and a lot of us were like, yeah, okay. But he went, and it wasn't sexy. He was couch surfing. He had no, he had no money, but he started to build relationships. And then he got a chance to sit in on videos, then assist.
Yeah.
Now, he's one of the most noted video guys in the world. Yeah. So, and kudos to him. So I watched my friends who followed their heart, and I just really followed the money. And then so I was afraid. But one of the things that I've come to learn is that inspiration is an instruction from our Creator to do something. Ooh. It's not a suggestion, it's an instruction.
You gotta say that again. You can't just, Noel, you can't just say something like that and you gotta slow down when you say that one so people can take in what you just said, brethren. Inspiration, say it again.
Inspiration is an instruction from our Creator to do something. Now, we all have free will, so we don't have to listen, but you'll never have peace if you don't listen, because fulfillment comes from fulfilling your calling, what He's asked of you. That's where fulfillment comes from. Like this is doing what you're asked to do. Like this, and and doing what you're asked to do doesn't mean it's always going to be an easy road either. What I mean? Some people say, I got the message. I'm here. Kaboom, kabash, kaboom, pum, 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 pow. Welcome. Who's Victory Speaks 7?
That's me, Noel. Don't
that's you.
You don't look at the comments. That's me, girl. You
that's
just
you. Okay, got it. Because I keep seeing these things pop up. All right, fair enough. So, are people getting anything from this out there who are watching? I hope people get something.
Yes, Elizabeth said so true. We've had some comments coming in. Danny Stone has agreed personal growth is important and awareness. You don't worry that they're listening. They're taking you in.
Okay, well, I wasn't seeing that in the chat. I'm like, talk to me. Let me know if you're bearing witness to this. If you're getting something here.
Focusing.
Okay, so it's all...
focus.
All right.
That's you.
By the way, guys, just let you guys know as I'm going to continue the story, but sometimes people drop off.
Yes.
Come check me on Clubhouse. There's a link that Nicole, I guess, is putting in the chat.
I will put that now.
Clubhouse every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. We have I do some coaching live, and we have different subjects each week. We're going to be talking about beating procrastination, and I'm going to be giving you how I've helped people from all over the world beat procrastination, increase their sales, monetize their passions, get into relationships they may never thought they could get into, and get out of relationships that don't serve them. anything that you've been holding back from, anything that you've been saying, I really need to do fill in the blank, but you haven't been doing it. We're going to get down to the root of why that is, and show you how to break through that and start snapping out of it and creating a new normal. So because procrastination is the number one dream killer on the planet, and so so it's something where we're going to be talking about that Saturdays at 10 a.m. on Clubhouse. So the link will be there, and please share it with friends, family, and associates. These are totally free sessions, so come and enjoy them.
So pause. You see, he's my cousin. I can tell him whatever I want. You are dropping some gems. That's from Coach Danny Stone, for sure. He's just letting you know.
Well, thank you, Coach Danny. I appreciate you. Coach Danny Stone. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm glad you're getting something from it tonight, and I hope other people are getting some ideas. So I'll continue the story. So I was petrified, and I went back into the room though, and I said, you know what? First I had my conversation with God, and I said, okay, Father, I know you've been on me to want to do this thing for a minute. I've been running away because I am scared out of my mind. And I said, look, I will do what you're asking me to do. I just ask you take good care of me, and I'll take great care of your people. That's it. And I haven't looked back. I went back into the room, and the guy said to me, so what is your stand for humanity? What is the game you're here to play on this planet, and how big a game are you here to play? And I said, I'm going to touch, move, and inspire millions of people worldwide to make their passions and dreams become a tangible reality. He said, eloquently stated, starting when? And I'm like, oh, God. And you're going to ask me this in public, so now I have to say this shit. Thanks. Appreciate it. Like this. And so so I was like, and I said, starting now. So then I recalled out my business partner, and I said, look, I gotta exit from our direct sales company. I'm gonna sell. So I'm gonna let you buy me out. And he says, what, bro? We got a big client coming up. We're supposed to do this. I said, yeah, I know. I gotta go. Like this. And no, one thing that you'll find is that God comes when it's least convenient for you. And this is where you have a moment of truth. And again, and by the way, do I tell my students just to go and quit their jobs? No, I don't. I know how to sell. I have a strong background in sales. I could sell anything. So to me, it didn't. I could always do something else if I had to. You know what I mean? So I tell my students, you don't leave your job until showing up to your job is costing you money, meaning that you're making more on a part-time basis or almost equivalent in a part-time basis, and you've been able to do that at least for 90 days consistently, because anybody can have a good week or a good month. You know what I mean? I want you to be sure that you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because I think particularly if you've got children, you got other responsibilities, you need to be at least to some degree responsible.
Yes.
Like this about what you're doing. You're not trying to run yourself into ruin going after a dream. That's not, to me, the smart way to do it.
Yeah, you gotta use wisdom.
Yeah. But anyway, I dipped, and then all the books say find the mentor. So I did some digging, and the person who resonated with me was Bob Proctor. And he was Canadian, and was from Stouffville, Ontario, but he's in over 100 countries. He's doing his thing, and as I came to learn that he's inspired, like that self-help section that you see in any major bookstore, at least half of those people have been inspired either by him directly or indirectly through other people who've had his lessons. So anyways, I invested in his training program. My friends told me I was nuts for taking out that 20 grand US, like it's and making that investment. But I said to them, my friends, I said, look, this guy's got a private jet and he's in over 100 countries. If I did 10% of what he did, it would be life changing.
Right.
Like this, So and I know me on a work ethic side. And what's interesting is that my first year as a trainer, I made 6 figures. I
Wow.
never made less than 6 figures training ever, you know? And so, but then I also, so I guess we'll bring this over now. So now that people have a bit of a foundation, I can go into the financial literacy because I know it's getting late. So, well, I touched on it a little bit. Um, one of the things that I will say.
Noel is a speaker for a living. I don't even need to do an interview. I'm just here
Oh, I
facilitating.
apologize. Sorry, you had a question?
Noel is just like running. Like, no, I love it. I love it because you're such a good storyteller, and I think that's one of the things people need to know, that as a speaker, as a trainer, being able to tell your story is very key. So you're sharing one of those gems there, and the importance of having a mentor
Yes. Well,
is so key. So go ahead. Listen, you are actually flowing with my questions, and you don't even know what my questions are. So I'm like, I'm good. You just keep flowing. Keep flowing.
by the way, did you manage to post that link before I continue for the Clubhouse?
I
Is
got
that
you, Noel. I got you, Noel. It's on.
okay?
I got you.
Just checking.
You want to see? There it is, Noel. There it is.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There we go. Clubhouse. Appreciate it. Yes. So it's the Dreamaholic Nation. Dreamaholic Nation. Let's go. People who are addicted to making their passions and dreams become a tangible reality. So so I have, been fortunate to have found really great mentors. Real estate, that from that first house, well, that's made me a lot of money. Like, you know what I mean? And then other properties that I've had have maybe a lot of money. And then taking money from those and starting to invest in areas like cryptocurrency, and different companies. One of the things I would just say to everybody is this: I'm in the Dominican Republic right now, and this was not part of the plan. I was I left Canada because of Trudeau's nonsense, and this is the mandate thing. I think everybody should have a choice. It's your body, it's your choice. Yes, and so people who take it, great. It's up to you. People who choose not to, great. It's up to you. But because I saw not just the whole mandates thing, but I've been following the financial markets quite closely.
Right.
And even prior to COVID, I was saying that something big was coming, because a lot of the banks are in trouble. A lot of them don't even meet their minimum reserve requirements overnight. They have to borrow that from central banks.
Right.
That's real. It's called the repo market. And I learned of that through Kiyosaki. And
so for those who don't know what he said, Kiyosaki, he meant Robert Kiyosaki. Go ahead, Noel.
Yes. Yes. So, well, I'd already referenced them earlier, but okay. Yes. And then I started tuning into other people as well. There's just a ton people that I listen to, everything from Jeff Berwick, from Dollar Vigilante, Chris Green, to oh my God, she's really good too. Good. His last name is ZHANG. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But these are people who follow. I follow what goes on with the Bank of International Settlement, the IMF, the World Health Organization, watching the UN, and right now there is a. Just to be clear, before I say what I'm going to say, I don't wear tinfoil hats. Everything that I do is based in reality, because I always want to make the best decisions for myself and my family.
Right.
I am an independent. So somebody says, he sounds like he's a writer, he's left. I'm independent. You know what I mean? Earn my vote. I think for myself. I don't care about parties. I care about policies. That's it.
Right.
And how do policies impact myself and my family and people that I care about? Mm-hmm. Period. That's all I'm interested in. And but we're headed towards a very, very, very dark period. And if you don't listen to these people that you really need to, start listening to Charles Schwab from the World Economic Forum. Listen to his speeches and hear what he's saying.
Can you say his name again, Noel? Because it's I don't know if you have to
spell Klaus Schwab.
And how do you spell his name?
I think it's Klaus, or just Google, put him in Google, put him in YouTube, and he will come up. This bald-headed dude with hubris beyond belief.
Okay.
He's so Klaus is the lead. I'm the founder of the World Economic Forum, and they have said you need to read it. You need to read his book, The Great Reset. You need to, because these people are not hiding what their intentions are. Their intentions are, and it was stated in the House of Commons by Pierre Poilievre. I was really pleased to see somebody speaking up about it. Their objective is that by the year 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. They intend to collapse the financial systems as they are, as we've known them. That's their intention. You know what I mean? Like this, they want to bring in a new system. You have to understand that over half of the central banks around the world are functioning at or below negative interest rates. They have nowhere left to go. You know what I mean? Like this. And so you need to understand that from their perspective, there needs to be a reset. And what they want to bring in is the central bank digital currencies. They want to be able to control your money because it's controlled by the central bank. And just the same way that the Trudeau government shut off people's bank accounts during the trucker protest, I want you to imagine them doing it to your, because if they have directly in line to you and your bank account, they don't need to go to the bank to get them to close your account. You know what I mean? Like this, they could just do it themselves with a click of a button. They want digital passports. They want digital driver's license so they can turn you off or turn you on based on whether they like what you're saying or not. You have to understand the direction that we're headed. You know what I mean? Like this. And part of the reason that I left, I'm not a loose cannon guy who just takes up and bounce. That's not how I function. But I saw something coming and it scared the hell out of me. And so I sold my properties and I bounced. And so I'm starting to look at where do I put my money. So I spent some time. I was in the U.S. for a little bit, and I went to go see Grant Cardone. And Grant is clear about what's happening too. You know what I mean? Like he's on point. And you should listen to a lot of wealthy people because they're moving their money out of places like North America. They're moving their money out. They're moving to other markets, and they're trying to protect and preserve their capital. A lot of people, and I'm not telling you, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you some of the information that I have. And listen, don't listen, do what you want to do, but you can't say that nobody said anything to you.
Right.
So, I decided to move my funds out, and I was looking, where the hell do I put my money now? What do I put my money in? How do I work so damn hard, to build this asset base, and what do I do? So I started looking at different countries where they were not in favor of what's been taking of the conversation that's been coming out of the World Economic Forum.
Right.
And so Mexico, Brazil, Dominican Republic was one of the few first places to open up once the pandemic passed. And so right now, I'm looking for governments that give you the same rights over property, the rights, which is what I get here in the Dominican Republic. And I'm deeply concerned about food shortages that it's in the news, so it's not like it's a secret. They're talking about food shortages. Guys, the food shortages are going to get real. You need to have between 6 to 12 months of food stored. The reason I chose to come here to the Dominican Republic was sort of by accident. I wanted to go live with my seminars again, and I wanted people, regardless of whether they were vaxxed or not, to be able to participate. And so the States, you couldn't do it there because if you're not vaxxed, you can't go unless you got an exemption. You know what I mean? A medical exemption to be able to travel there. And so, so when I got here, I started to find out about real estate here, and I started to see that in the grocery stores, 90% of what they produce, 90% of what it's on the grocery shelves, they produce it here. So they're not huge on importing. They're big on Dominicana, and so I like the fact that they probably won't be impacted to the same degree as North America will. Mm-hmm. And so we're buying land up here. Real estate here is cheap, like super cheap. I guess, and it's going up by about 20 to 30% per month. By the way, if you want to learn more about this, we're actually going to be doing some seminars on investing in the DR. I guess, and investing in real estate. It's in specific Puerto Plata, Sosua, and Cabarete, the North Coast. Last year, the prices jumped here 30%. You know what I mean, like this, and it's a real incredible space. It's where Toronto was about 12 years ago. You know what I mean? It's where Florida was back in after 2008, 2010. You know, that time period. It's where it's where Jamaica was 7 years ago. Like that's where the prices are right now. So just to give you context. So I'm putting my money in deals. I only keep a small amount of money in banks because I don't trust the banks. You have to know that in both the United States and Canada, our governments had signed off on the bail-in, BAIL in bill. And you go on YouTube and find out for yourself, man. See how secure your money really is in those accounts, even though they claim that they're CDIC insured. You know what I mean? Like this. Can the CDIC cover all of those? Do they have enough money to cover everything?
So, Noel, some of this information that you're sharing here today, you're doing some seminars as well
the seminars I'm doing are going to be teaching people about how to invest, particularly in real estate in the Dominican Republic, because for me, I've chosen it as a safe zone. Or for part of my money, would I keep all my money in one place? No, I guess. And so there's other places that I'm looking at as well, I guess, but Dominican for sure. Like this, most of their properties have their own water wells. They have their own generators. They've got or solar. So it wasn't built for protection against blackouts and cyber attacks and all that stuff. That's not why they did it. It was because of issues with the city. You know what I mean? Like this, but they, just by virtue of them having it, they're more insulated against some of the things that are going to be impacting the Western world, the G7 nations. I don't know that any G7 nation I would want to be in any one of them, to be honest.
Right.
I guess. So I think the so-called developing worlds are far more appealing at this stage. Not all of them, but the ones that are in particular freer, and freer than those other societies. And if Biden had his way, just like Trudeau, boy, oh boy. So long short of it, and this isn't to be political because I don't care about the parties. All I care about is policies and how the policies impact us. And I'm saying to you tonight, from the financial literacy side, you have to learn how to protect your money. So whether it's learning, I have a mentor in the crypto space who's been teaching us how to protect our money on hard wallets outside off, because you don't want to keep your money on exchanges. So if you're a crypto investor, you do not want to keep your money online. You need to get it offline, which is why I want my money in deals. You know what I mean? Like this, in real estate deals, or in gold and silver, in that I have in my home, or at a safe place that I would want to keep it. You know what I mean? Like this, things that retain value. You got to understand. And for all of you who have equity in your houses, right now we are losing approximately 1 to 2% per month purchasing power because of the amount of money printing that's going on with our central banks, both for Canada and the United States and many other central banks throughout the world. We're losing between 1 and 2% per month purchasing power.
Wow.
You understand?
So yeah, I definitely think we need to have.
So let's just say it was 50. Let's just say it was 50, 20% for the year. Right. That means if you have $100,000 sitting in an account, at the end of the year, you have 80.
Wow.
I'm talking about from a purchasing power, what you can actually buy with those dollars.
Right.
And so you need to have investments that surpass the rate of inflation. You have to. Money sitting still is no longer an option. You know what I mean? Or buy assets that appreciate or at least retain value. Art, diamonds, gold, silver, commodities, where, things, antiques, things that at least will retain value. So you're not losing the purchasing power of that dollar.
So Noel, I think we definitely need to have a second conversation. Okay. I think we need to definitely have a conversation where, we tell people, and I think afterwards we'll drop it in the chat, where people can even sign up to even learn more about this, because you spoke about different people that people should be listening to. So I think it's good that we can drop that information in the chat, because you don't know what you don't know. And financial literacy has taken it's a different thing. There's so many different levels to financial literacy that we all need to learn, and I am right there with
Um,
everybody else, because Noel is going to be one of my tutors teaching me as well, because no matter what you do and where you are, you need to learn and you need to grow. And as a caregiver, I also need to build some stability. And I think especially for people who have loved ones that you need to be mindful of and taking care of. You have seniors, and even for yourself, we need to be operating in a different way, thinking in a different way, and
well,
you have the ability to move past the fear, because there's a lot of fear when it comes to investing. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what questions to ask. You know, finance has become this thing that, especially for different people in different communities, how we approach money, how we approach wealth, how we approach investment. Even the basic thing when you said that the gentleman said to you, 30% is what you live on and 70% is what you bank and invest. Like, how do you do that? Like, practical steps to how do you do that? The fact that you're talking about in the Dominican, how you can invest, and there's the ability, because young people here right now and people looking to buy can't afford to buy. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the Dominican is probably one of the places that, because you're doing business in the Dominican, you're learning, you're building, and you're investing. It is probably a good place to be looking at. And I think people being able to sit down and ask you those questions, because sometimes even though we have this forum here, do you have a forum where individuals can come and sit with you? Are you doing some kind of, as we start wrapping up here, because I want to be mindful of time, it's late, and I know
yeah,
you're
yeah,
business.
yeah, no, yeah. I got it.
Sit here with you all night, but I want to find,
Well,
you know,
in the first instance, if people are interested in getting more in touch, they can at Noel Walrond, my Instagram,
okay,
and as far, and of course the Clubhouse link that has already been posted. Come check, come visit. But if you're interested in learning about specifically about the investment on the DR side, we will be doing seminars on that towards the end of this week and into next week. The As far as financial literacy in and of itself, um, I think what I may do, as you're mentioning it, it would likely be in the next month or two, like this. But I think maybe we'll just do a financial literacy day, like a day session, where we can actually teach people some of the fundamentals, or maybe a 2 day session on some financial literacy basics. And so I'll talk with my team. You know what I mean? And we'll
yeah,
we'll look into that. If there's enough interest, like I'll put it out there, and if there's enough interest with people wanting to learn, absolutely.
yeah, because to be honest, Noah, when you start thinking about, we're just coming out of a pandemic, right? People are already, funny about money. Some people just want to have fun. Um, some
Yeah.
people you don't know what you don't know. And so we need individuals like yourself who can educate us, who people can trust, because you have a track record in Canada. You have a
Mhm.
track record around the world. And I think part of the conversation, two questions I want to ask you before we go is, like, you have had different types of investments, different types of financial transactions and business things that have not done well, but you got back up and you moved past that fear. And so how, yeah, I think it's going to be so key for people just to hear from you, if you can sum that up for us, how you got past that fear of getting back into the game, and back into like real estate and investing, when not every business deal was sweet.
Right. Well, I've never lost in real estate, thank God. But I've lost in other things.
Right.
Crypto for sure. Lost big and won bigger.
Mhm. Yeah.
From my perspective, what are your options? So if you don't invest, you will never be financially independent.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't exist for people who don't invest. Like, you have, like, I was told years ago when I was doing a lot of referrals for the real estate, my buddy was saying to me, he said, look, Noel, it's you never make a lot of money in sales. You make money in the investing, because it's the investment. It's when your money works harder for you than you have to work for it. And you're not going to win necessarily every time, but one thing that you will do is due diligence. You need to check and double check. Like, I'll just give you, like, I'm new to the Dominican Republic. I've been here a couple months, but I have the amount of research I've done on this place. I've done things that people who are real estate agents down here haven't done. I went to the city to go talk to the urban development people.
Right.
I went for both cities, both Puerto Plata and Sosua. I have talked to a bunch of different agents who don't know each other to get a feel. I've talked to developers here. Like I said, I met with the developers and I've met with lawyers here. I've met with all these people. Like I have hit the people. I see people think that I've just been here on the beach. Oh no. It's been working. Like seriously, I remember even tonight when I just got in, I was at my lawyers because we just put an offer in on a piece of land, a beautiful piece of land right on the ocean.
Congratulations! I'm coming.
Yeah. Well, we haven't got it yet, but thank you.
I'm saying congratulations now. I'm calling it.
Yeah. So, but it's like I am, and also where I don't speak Spanish, but I've just enrolled in Spanish classes because I don't want to be at a disadvantage. But all the contracts are done in both English and Spanish anyway, and one of the things that I said to myself, there's no other option but then become financially literate, or you'll be a slave to money. It's either you're going to master money, or money will always be your master. You have to make a decision which way it's going to be. And a lot of people talk about slavery in the old days when master had a whip and all that kind of stuff. Well, today, when you say, oh, I have to go to work, or the boss called me in, or I have to do this, I have to, that's postmodern slavery. You're not doing it because you want to do it. You're doing it because you're obligated. You know what I mean? Like this. And I'm here tonight because I want to be here on this call with you today. I want to share on this call. That's why I'm here, not because anybody, not because I have to do anything, like this. And so it's something where it's a disrespect to what our ancestors went through slavery to not become literate in every form. You know what Black people have to go through just to become literate in terms of English, you know what I mean? And learning how to speak and read and write. And I guess, and now, you have a chance to become financially literate, but you'd rather watch Netflix. You'd rather go party. You'd rather go chill. You'd rather just shoot the stuff with friends or be everybody's counselor. Meanwhile, your financial account looks like hell. And then you wonder, well, why don't I have any money? Well, look, in the words of the great Black Sheep, the hip hop group back in the day, you can deal with this or you can deal with that. You can deal with this or you can deal with that, right? You have to make a decision. Which is it going to be? Which door do you choose?
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're not prepared to make any sacrifices, like coming here, believe me, it's been a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. This has not been easy. I'm coming into a place where I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Now I have a base, but that was a lot of work in a short span of time. So, you know what I mean? So it's something, and I did it in Jamaica too. I didn't know anybody in Jamaica. I knew two people when I was in Jamaica for 6 months. You know what I mean? But now I know people in Jamaica, and I got people in Jamaica. Like it's something where, it's adapt or die. And I guess, you know what I mean? Any organism that ceases to adapt to its new environment will cease to exist, period. You know what I mean? Like this. And I will tell you right now, and as I look in this camera to everybody who is listening or watching this, we don't have a lot of time before these guys make their move. We do not have a lot of time. There is going to be another pandemic. Bill Gates has said it, and I take him at his word. Okay,
yes, he has.
There will be a cyber attack. I take Charles Schwab at his word. There will be a blackout. Yes, there will. There is going to be food shortage. Yes, there is. You know what I mean? Like this. Yes, there is. And there's going to be situations where people's money that's sitting in banks are going to be in serious trouble. Yes, there is. What you saw in Greece and what you saw in Venezuela is going to happen it's coming to a theater near you. The question is, will you have taken the right actions? Some people say, well, I got my family, or what do I do? Man, please, military families when they get deployed, sometimes there's no notice, and they got to take their whole family, pick up and go some other place. And they don't even know, and they don't have any choice about where they're going. At least you have a choice. You know what I mean? Like this. And when I watch migrants walking across the border into the United States with flip-flops and a knapsack, and they're going into a prison cell, okay? Or a holding cell, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if they can do it with no resources, if you got a couple of $1,000 to your name, where you can get a plane ticket and get the hell out of Dodge and go figure something out, go do what you need to do. You know what I mean? I've had some people say, easy for you to say because you've done well financially. Yes, it is easier for me to say yes. But the question is, would I do the same thing if I was low on money? Yes, because I don't mind taking bananas and selling them on the damn street in order to get what I need and what I want. I would rather live in the bush on the country living off ground provisions than live in a state of slavery. Period.
Right.
Like
That
this,
that was deep.
period. You know
No,
what I mean? Like this. So we all have decisions to make, and there's going to be a lot of very hard choices to make. You know, and I would say this one last thing. This is, and for everybody who's in Canada who's watching this, if you, I was watching the conservative debate, and Leslin and as well as Pierre, both of them to me are this like they're the first politicians that I've heard anywhere saying that they will challenge the central bank digital currency.
yeah,
And I guess
that
that's
was
big.
that's big.
And that's big. And
Big.
I don't care whether you are conservative or middle of the road or lib or whatever. You don't want them controlling our money. That's the one you do not want that. He said, Pierre said that they will fight against the central bank digital currencies. They will fight against digital passports and driver's license. He's got my vote. I don't care about, some people will say, well, what about the social issues? The biggest social issue you have is freedom. And you cannot allow people to take your freedom. You can't allow it. You can't allow it. True North, strong and free. I am born in Canada. I'm born in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I love my country. I hate what they're doing to it. And I think that it's something where we need to hold our leaders to account like this. But if somebody is talking, Leslin and Pierre, to me, they're sounding like they're right on track. You know what I mean? Like this. And so please watch their speeches and listen to and see what's right for you and what's not. It's not about the party. It's not about, because I'm not a conservative. I'm just about protecting myself, my money, and my family. That's it. But I thought I just wanted to say it. I know it may piss people off or whatever, but I just have to be honest and speak from the heart. We have to support people that have our back. And there's a lot of people who made medical decisions who didn't want to make them because of fear. And I will tell you one other thing: the fear of losing your job, fear of not being able to travel. Fear was what drove the decision for a lot of people. And I just want to say to you, I don't care whether it's for a medical procedure or just dealing with an abhorrent boss who is abusive. None of us should have to live under any condition that doesn't respect us. You know what I mean? And respect our wish. You know what I mean? Like this and like this. And to me, you need to get financially independent if for no other reason, to make sure that nobody tells you what to do. You do what you want to do and you live the way you want to live, as long as you're not causing harm to anybody else. You know what I mean? Like this, to me, you need to be independent. We have to get rid of postmodern slavery. It has to end like this. And I'm not really a coach. I'm a freedom fighter. I'm about freedom. You know what I mean? Like this. And anybody who's for freedom, I'm with you.
Noel, you said so much in there. I couldn't even get a word in.
Sorry, I just wanted to get it all out.
You did. You sure did. Just before we wrap up, we have a question here. Is it literacy or behavior that really, Earl Anderson is asking, is it literacy or behavior that really is the mediating factor?
Well, becoming financial literacy is a change in behavior. It was I was talking about that I changed my behavior. I had to change the way that I managed my money. I had to change how I used my time. That's change in behavior. So reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and going through the audios and going through the books and going to the seminars, which I wasn't doing. That was a change in behavior. But you have to remember, action is all actions are expressed thoughts. And so the first thing that has to change is your thought, the way that you and the way in your perception, the way that you see things. I was sick and tired of my situation. So I went and did something about it. And it was painful at first, because when people start talking about financial stuff and even learning how to read these tickers and read this stuff, it's like learning Spanish today. It's another language. You know what I mean? Like this. And so at first, internally, I'm freaking out because it's out of my comfort zone. It's not something that I'm comfortable with. But what's the alternative? I don't learn and I stay where I am.
That's,
you know what I mean? Like this.
So Noel, I know I said that was the last, but I'm going to be like a preacher tonight. You said something there that my question to you is this. If I wanted to start in investing, learning how to invest today, and I don't have a lot of money, because I think, Chatter Edwards just put I won't read out the whole thing, but you put something in there. There are a lot of people here in our community who need financial literacy, and this room should be packed here today. But here's the thing. What I know for sure is this. We have been taught or socialized to think that we need to have a lot of money to invest. So when we don't have, and nobody talks to, I don't care what culture you come from, what race, very few people are talking to people with low income about how to invest, right? When you're living from paycheck to paycheck. And what I really would love, if whether we bring you and another person on, we really need to have this conversation of, when you are living paycheck to paycheck and you need to come out of that, and you have come out of that, how do you do that? Where do you start from? That's my goal.
Yeah,
Because
the first thing is to begin with the end in mind. So what's your first major objective? And so for me, it was that I wanted to get my finances under control, because you need to have something to invest. And technically, you don't even need to. You can leverage. I saw some guy post something. Wasn't able to read the whole thing. We talked about investing in forex and the like, and
okay.
and it doesn't. You don't need a lot of money to be able to learn how to trade. He's correct. There's opportunities to be able to learn how to trade, picking up another skill that's transferable anywhere. So coming back to the question, so for me, the first thing was getting my finances under control. So I did a budget for the first time, and I started to see, well, where is my money actually going? Because what's interesting is when you actually do a spreadsheet and you actually see, okay, this is what came in and this is how much I spent. Because a lot of people, like, when it comes to tax time, when they see how much they earned and they look at how much is in their bank account, they're like, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? But money is like a relationship partner. It won't stay around if you don't pay attention to it. You know what I mean? Like this. So yes, you got to pay attention. You got to give it attention. So so that was step number one. Number two was finding a way to increase my income. And it's something where today the definition of risk is having one income stream. You need to have more than one income stream. Anybody out there who's talking about they're secure in a job, God help you. People aren't secure in a business alone. You know what I mean? Businesses go out of business all the time. The security, your security comes from developing your skills. And so by the way, I wanted to say one thing. I think the person had said something that people are lazy. I think that's a bit dismissive. Yes, I agree that there's a lot of people who are lazy. I would say that a lot of people are mentally weak, and there's a big difference between the two. Mentally weak means that you're not willing to work through the mental pain of coming out of comfort zone, because it is painful. Like for me, it was, and I remember my first time sitting down to learn forex, and they started talking the language. For me, because when it came to the numbers and that kind of stuff, it was just like, all the stuff coming back to the geometry from back in high school, and I was like, For some people it comes easy. For some people it's not. You know what I mean? Some people it's a challenge. You know what I mean? Right. And so for some people, what about investment in African countries and opportunities? Tons of opportunities in Africa. Tons. Ghana is like Ghana, Kenya. Kenya is like Nairobi is like the jewel of Africa. You know what I mean? Right now, like, and big money is going in there. Like, there's a lot of opportunity, lots, and tax advantages, and in Ghana as well, lots of opportunities. I'm not invested over there at this time. I have friends who are, and we share information, and so but yes, there are lots of opportunities in Africa as well. But coming back to this point, because sometimes people also have to get when people are ready. I first was given the book Think and Grow Rich when I was 22.
Right.
I didn't understand the book, and I didn't have somebody there to guide me. And I guess, and then sometimes it comes down to internal readiness for a message. So like, it's just because you're ready at a certain time doesn't mean that other people are going to be either. I think we have to be careful with being judgmental about people. I'm sharing a warning to people to say, hey, listen, if you're not awake, wake up, because we're running low on time because of an agenda that I see that is designed to, what they claim it's to help, but really it's helping themselves and impoverishing masses of people. They want to destroy the middle income bracket completely. That's their part of their intention. So they want people completely dependent on the system so they can control people. That's what they want ultimately. And so,
just Noel, when you
yeah.
just said something about not judging, and I think it's important for people to know that sometimes you can get a gift, but if you don't know the value of this gift, you won't know what you have in your hand. Somebody can give you something. Somebody can give you this ring, and it looks like bling, but it may or may not be valuable, and we need to start looking at what's in our hands. So I really appreciate you say not to judge people, because it's not about being lazy. I think we have to be very careful about languaging, and we have a world and a community, especially in the Black community. We've been socialized to think and live a particular way, and it's very systematic and it's systemic. So we need to be very mindful of that. And earlier saying you were talking the truth, no new truth, real truth, great conversation.
Thank you, sir. At the end of the day, I just think that people, and not just people, but all of us, because all of us have blind spots and all of us have areas where we need to improve. If I was functioning at the level that I could have been, I'd probably be at $100 billion right now. So at the end of the day, it's something where, like we all go through what we're going through, and we all, and we all have our challenges, and getting rid of old programming. Zig Ziglar said it right in his book, Born to Win. He says, you were born to win, but you were conditioned to lose, like this. And it's something where, and the late great Jim Rohn said, whatever you see 90% of the population doing it, do the opposite. Well, his actual words were run away. So whatever is popular, go another direction, because the majority has never got it right, ever. It's always been a small percentage of the population that is won, always, I guess. And so the question is, do you want to be one of the people who's a victim, or do you want to be a victor? That's that's entirely up to you, based on the decisions that you and I make. We all live and die by our choices, period. Know what I mean?
As we wind down on our seventh close.
Yes. And in conclusion,
you have been on the Victory Speak Show live with Coach Noel Walrond, and not to be confused with Nicole Waldron. We, that's a real story. But I got the story one day. One of our cousins in Vancouver told me two brothers came to, I think it was Barbados. I can't remember which island it was. One didn't like how the name was spelled, and decided to change the name from Waldron to Waldron. So is a bit of comments that happened there. Now we're related, but we're all different in different
yes, it's all good. We are
family. Yeah, okay, now get back. Focus no. So and we talked about victims to victory, and you cannot be on the Victory Speak Show if you don't answer this one question. What does victory look like to you?
Freedom.
I knew it,
In all of its forms.
Right.
Freedom to travel, freedom to buy what I want, live what I want, do what I want, impact lives in the way that I want. Freedom, period, plain and simple. Freedom. And that's victory. And it's time for us to claim what God has given us, our God-given right, freedom. And again, to reach out, I encourage everybody to join us on our Clubhouse Sundays at 10 a.m. So this Sunday we'll be dealing with beating procrastination. If we can post that link one more time in there in that chat, Nicole, and that would be great. So please register, become a member of the Dreamaholic Nation. Come join us and share it with other people. And if you enjoyed tonight's conversation, please share the page. Please share the story whatever platform you're watching this. Please share. Please support Nicole. She's doing great work, and she is being a stand for you and a stand for the community. And we should back those type of people up in a big way. For those people who are interested in learning how to, again, invest in real estate in the DR, hit me on the Instagram, DM me at Noel Walrond _, and we'll be, I'll share with you when we're doing our presentations and the like. And, but, I just hope that everybody got something from tonight and got some value from tonight, and will begin to take meaningful action immediately.
And so, Noel, as we end, this is my 10th close now. I stopped counting. Do you remember oh, before I say that, let's put this here. Okay, so we have a comment. I believe our people have the energy, drive, tenacity. However, due to programming, that is all poured into someone else's dream. And when it comes to their own foundation and empire, they fall short. And we know they fall, we can all fall short. We fall short because of how we've been trained, how we've been, and sometimes situations in life. And I think if we all come together as we've done on this show and have conversations, and we have to recognize that we have been a community that has been scammed in many ways. We have had many scammers that have come along the way. Many people have fallen to a lot of things. And so I think we need to meet people where they're at, help them to see the gift that they are, and help them to move in the victory that they are and see their value. Go ahead, Noel.
I've heard the "we as a people" speech since my days back in the NOI. You know what I mean, and all the things I've done in the community. When you as an individual take personal responsibility for your financial literacy, we as a people thrive. And it's what I'm not. What is, I'm all I can do is share the information the best I can with as many people as possible. It's up to them whether they choose to do it. How many people went to the ark when Noah called them? How many people? You know what I mean? Like this, people laughed at him, they mocked him, and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, there's a number of people who are trying to point the way to the ark. And the question is, will you listen? Will you follow it? And will you get on the ark and protect and preserve yourself and your family? You know, and I think, and when you, part of the problem is that when you come into knowledge and learning something, a lot of us don't share that when we're having a conversation with our friends and family, because that's we as a people.
That's it.
We tend to be hoarders of information, and we go make our moves, say nothing to no one, and as a result, we can't have it as I remember each one teach one back in the day in Toronto,
Yes.
like like this, it comes from each of us sharing, because so now I make it a point when I'm doing things, I share it on Facebook, I share it on Instagram, I share it with friends, I share it with family. Somebody said, it seems like you're bragging. I'm like, no, I'm sharing, man. It's like, so that people, I want people, one, to see what's possible based on what I'm doing, and number two, to show them what they can get for themselves if they want it. And if they want the resources, link me. You know what I mean? Like this. But if people aren't aware I'm doing it, then how could they know to even ask? You know what I mean?
But you said something so powerful. See, we're going on. So you said a couple things that are so powerful. One, we deal with a trust issue. Okay, so let's be real. There's a trust issue. And then we are looking at people who say, Noel, you're bragging, but really and truly you're sharing. And we have to get over this mindset that when somebody is actually sharing, that they're bragging. And, this hoarding of information, I hope one day that we can stop, because there is enough in the world. There can be enough in the world for everybody, but we don't want to share platforms. When I look at this platform here, Noel, and I thank you for encouraging people to share. I don't currently get paid to do this. This is something that I felt led to do by God. You understand what I'm saying? I knew that I had to have conversations. This is something that I put down that was years ago in the making. And so, but when we lift each other up, and I remember that each one teach one, program, and I call it now each one reach one. That was big when we were doing that. We need to do that again. We need to learn how to trust again. We need to know how to ask the right questions and come into the spaces. And Noel, you said something to me one day, and I said, okay, so what if you don't have the money? If I don't own a home.
If you don't have it, you don't have to have the money.
That's the thing I want you to share. Because,
okay, got it. Now I see. You can introduce.
I don't own a home. And I said to you, but how would people, if I go into real estate, or if I want to talk to people about investing, people, how are people going to trust me, right? Because people have, if you don't have it, how can you be talking to me about it?
And you don't have the
such a profound answer is that even if I don't have it, I can still share the information with people, but it's up to them to do their due diligence, to go listen to the information and then do their homework, because it's important, even when you get the information, to do your homework. Go.
Right. And so just to as we close again,
Yeah.
I would just say that what I had said to Nicole was that with the projects that we're doing, what I did when I first started out, I mentioned it earlier on, I had made a deal with Sherrard, and he, and I referred my clients to him, and he helped them out getting the properties, and I got a commission. And then after a while, I stopped asking for commission. I said, okay, don't pay me in commission, pay me in units. So if I move enough people, if I introduce enough people, just give me a unit, you know what I mean, and help me close it, you know what I mean. And so then now, because the investment would multiply multiple times, and so that meant that I multiplied my commission or my earnings. And so you don't need to have money. It doesn't take money to make money. It takes resources and resourcefulness to make money. And by connecting people who have a need and a want together, you can be the middle person and generate and create more one another income stream for yourself. You're creating value to everybody that's involved, and you can put yourself in a situation where you can get that property. You know, so yes, that was the advice that I had given. So thank you for refreshing my memory from the conversation we had.
Well, you've been listening to a masterclass with, I call him Dr. Noel Waldron.
Yeah.
And I'm renaming him tonight in my name, but it's Walrond. And, but, check out Noel, check out the Clubhouse. It's in the chat. Go through the comments. The link is there. You click the link, you can go to Clubhouse. If you go to Clubhouse, if you don't know what Clubhouse is, well, you better learn what Clubhouse is. I'm even on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse every Tuesday in the Champion U Room with Coach Danny Stone, with Coach Lovemore, with Chander, and with Dr. Vibe. And, we want to champion you to your greatness. You have been listening to the Victory Speak Show, live and direct, no matter which part of the world you are. We thank you for joining us live. And those of you who can share it on the replay, if you haven't been able to, listen to the whole thing tonight, pause it and replay it, because, sharing is caring. Sharing is wealth. Sharing is growth. And we want you to grow as I grow and as I bring people onto this show. I want you to grow with me and walk in your victory. Remember, victory is not about crossing the finish line first. It's crossing the finish line as your best self. Remember to let your victory speak. Smile. Have a great conversation with somebody. You never know what people are going through. Try not to be judgmental. Be caring and compassionate in this world where kindness sometimes is lacking. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let your victory speak in love. Let your victory speak in light. Let your victory speak and be the change you want to see. Thank you and good night. Noel, I'll see you backstage.
A powerful night, guys. Bless.